Hello and welcome aboard WhalePod. Last time, in our previous Genshin Impact video, I reviewed our boy Tighnari and figured out, is he a good character? And the answer is, I do think he's a good character. Was he good enough to warrant you wishing for him on his own banner? Hopefully you didn't, because in come about 2.5 weeks time, you'll be able to get him on the standard banner. And when losing 50/50s, presumably. Today, we are addressing the elephant in the room, or in this case, the Jackal-In-The-Room. Yes, I know Keqing is technically a wannabe-Catgirl, and I say wannabe because those are not real cat ears. She has human ears clearly visible underneath her hair. That is as a hairstyle. But the Jackal-In-The-Room is Cyno. Cyno is coming next patch, one patch after Keqing finally got her break and people realized she wasn't as bad as they had been thinking all these years. Dendro really opened up Electro's potential big time and brought new life into Keqing. We are standing up here on the Jade Chamber for this because, well, Keqing's a member of the Keqing, pretty buddy-buddy with Ningguang, and I feel like she just feels at home up here on the Jade Chamber. Certainly more so than talking about this somewhere in Sumeru. One thing I will say, though, with Keqing is currently only rated at A tier in the current meta, even with Dendro in the question. So, with Cyno coming in next patch, I don't think Cyno stands too much of a chance of knocking Keqing out of A tier. If Cyno ends up in A tier, as far as most people consider, then maybe Keqing has something more to be worried about. But if Cyno winds up in S tier, like a lot of people are speculating he will, I do think Keqing's place in A tier and her place in the meta will be secure, as if you don't have Cyno, use Keqing. If you don't have Cyno and Keqing, maybe use a Shinobu and Fischl setup for your aggravate teams. And maybe if you are pulling for Cyno and lose 50/50 to Keqing, you won't be quite as sag about that as you would have been previously. Well, I don't know, if you're losing to a Keqing constellation, you probably will be a little bit sag about it. Now, with this video being a little short, and having said, I don't think Cyno will totally take away Keqing's presence in the meta. It will definitely decrease her presence in the meta, but she'll simply go from being the top tier aggravate driver to being just a good aggravate driver. I don't think Keqing is ever going to go back to being bad again because of aggravate. And to show off a little bit of aggravate, we're going to use my aggravate team with a little help from Heizo here in the Sumeru talent domain, as we can get Tighnari's talent materials today, and I still want a little more for my boy.
I hear everything.
All right, Keqing, get those aggravates going. Pretty quick clear, thanks to mainly Keqing. Tighnari kind of chipped in with a couple of bursts, but that's just showing a bit of how aggravate teams can play. Ideally, this would not be even the aggravate team that I run. I would prefer to run, instead of the Keqing and Tighnari based aggravate team with Shinobu and Heizo, the current meta quote-unquote aggravate team is Keqing, Dendro Traveler, who is, in my opinion, the best Dendro character, Kazuha, if you have him, otherwise someone like Sucrose, who is a 4-star, can slot in there well. I would use Heizo, because my Sucrose is not built, and is level 40. And Fischl. This team does not have a healer. You can substitute either Keqing or Fischl for Shinobu if you do want a healer. But all in all, I do think Keqing has improved in the meta. I'm glad she has. Keqing is one of the characters who initially drew me to Genshin Impact with her design. I have a display of Keqing hanging in my room where I record these videos behind me, even though you cannot see it because I have not yet found a face cam that I like for recording my visage on these videos yet. But all things said and done, I am glad that Keqing, who came to me in my 3rd ever 10 pull and 1st ever 10 pull from the standard banner, the first 2 were on the beginner Noel banner, I am glad she is getting some more time in the spotlight, or finally some time in the spotlight. In version 1.0, she was seen as one of 3, maybe 4, if you're willing to go Geo investment with Ningguang, main DPS viable characters. But since then has fallen off as better characters such as Child in 1.1 was released. Child didn't really see much attention until he got a dedicated artifact set in 1.2's Dragonspine artifact domain, giving him access to Heart of Depths. But then in 1.2 we also got Ganyu, who is still a top tier, although slightly falling in the rankings DPS character. And then we had Xiao, who was briefly king of the DPS world, but has fallen off due to Animo's inherent troubles with being a DPS role. And Hu Tao, who is still queen of Pyro. And then later, with the release of Inazuma, getting a very serviceable DPS options, such as Ayaka, and the master of all trades, no, not a jack of all trades, a master of all trades, Raiden Shogun. Well, not quite master of all trades. She can't really be a healer or a shielder, but support, master, main DPS. Have you heard of Raiden National or Raiden Hypercarry? And energy battery, masterful. Electro is the element of energy, and Raiden Shogun is the Electro Archon, so it stands to figure that Keqing would have been overshadowed. But Keqing is now gaining relevance because Raiden Shogun is all about the damage per screenshot with her Musou no Hitotachi, doing one massive hit right up front that can one-shot most enemies, and even a lot of bosses. However, Aggravate and other bonuses like it, such as Shenhe's cryo damage bonus, Yunjin's normal attack bonus, and the boost from the passive of Hunter's Path, Aggravate shines with lots of small hits that can take maximum effect of the flat damage bonus provided by it, thus giving Keqing her time in the sun. Once again, Keqing was the first 5-star I ever pulled, one of 2 characters whose designs initially drew me to Genshin Impact. Actually, that's a lie, there were 3. I joined in version 1.6, so the 3 character designs that drew me to Genshin Impact were Keqing, Jean, and Eula. But with that all said and done, I have been your Captain Whale. I hope this has been a useful commentary about the future-proofness of Keqing's place in the meta, which I don't think she's quite as future-proof as someone like Kazuha, but definitely more future-proof than someone like Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi never had a presence in the meta and still doesn't. F tier from day one, even if we didn't see it until later. But if you did like this video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. All 3 of those help out the channel immensely with YouTube's algorithm, and cost you nothing more than a few moments of your time. But with all that said and done, I hope you all are having fantastic days, WhalePod, and until next time, this is goodbye.